Hello and welcome to the next episode of the AV Experience. My name is Ryan, and I'm flying solo tonight. Jonathan was too good for me. He has a family. Just said family's more important. And we all know that this show is the most important thing in everybody's life, especially Jonathan and I's. And he just left me. He left me. But I'm here without Jonathan. We're going to hold down the ship, and we're going to go through all of your questions about AV, home theater, and everything in between. So hopefully you guys will enjoy the show. I don't really have much that has happened this week. Did I watch any movies? No. I listened to some music today. Did I watch any movies on a plane? I was in Dallas on Monday. Did I do anything there? I don't remember. I watched some anime. Anime I watched was Solo Leveling. I really enjoyed it. I'm an anime guy. I like anime. So enjoyed that. Haven't watched any movies. Tonight, I'm going to watch this weekend. I didn't get to them because Jonathan said he wasn't going to be here. I'm going to watch what was it? The Tom Cruise movie. I can't remember what it's called for the life of me. And Iron Giant. I think were the two that we were supposed to watch. And I never got to them because I had a bunch of stuff going on this week. Not home theater or anything fun related. Family fun related, but not any of that fun stuff related. What was that movie called? Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow. Just finished Solo Leveling, says Josh Damon. What'd you think? I really liked it. Though I drew a lot of correlations between it and Hunter x Hunter. So, like the ants and stuff. Don't worry, no spoilers. But I enjoyed it. Last fight was awesome. I liked the premise of his power and thing. It's different. It's a departure from most of her shonen. I liked it. Hopefully there'll be another season here soon. Question on my speaker setup, says Jeremy. I am happy to answer. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have. If I don't know the answer, I'll just say that and hopefully point you in the right direction for you guys to find it. Because that is one of the last things that I like doing is saying when or trying to make something up on the spot to make it seem like I know something. Watch the latest Final Destination. I just got that on Kaleidescape. Have not watched it. Went on sale. I just bought it. We all know it's Jonathan's favorite movie. That's Jonathan's favorite genre. Cell phone immersion right here, just like he's in the movie. So you say it was good stuff. Jonathan said not good stuff. Am I going to think it's good stuff? I like A Quiet Place. I like the thriller kind of sci-fi movies. I haven't seen a Final Destination movie since I was in high school. So I can't believe they're still making them for what? What is that? 20 years? Maybe over 20 years? That's crazy. How many of them are there? Is this the 7th one? Right? Is it? I don't know. Herc Dryer, how are you? I'm just holding down the fort again. Jonathan is doing family stuff. He's succumbed to the not important things. Family should always come second to home theater and this stream. That is how things need to be. I'm just kidding. Family first every time, no matter what. So hopefully he's having a good time hanging out with the fam. I'm just blessed that I have a great wife that tolerates me, or at least says that she's tolerating me. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting closer and closer to divorce and she's just being nice, but really deep down, she resents me or something. I don't know. I need more wrong turn movies. Wrong turn movies. What would be a wrong turn movie? Is that what Final Destination is? Wrong turn, dead. But is it a wrong turn if that was your destiny? Then it would be the right turn. If it was your destiny to die there. And then if you changed your destiny and didn't die, then that was the wrong turn. Yeah? No? Maybe? Jeremy, question. On your setup. Nope, that's wrong. There we go. Question on your setup. I believe all of your speakers are ported. Are all of your subs sealed? Is there a problem integrating ported speakers versus sealed speakers? No, you're fine. Because there's no different. You're not trying to blend a bunch of different stuff at multiple points. So your main issue with sealed and ported subs, right, is you have one crossover, and most people are not accounting for the ported the ported change in phase versus sealed. So you really don't have to worry about that when you're dealing with speakers coming into the subs. It's more if you had ported and sealed speakers or if you had ported and sealed subs. You can do it. It's just not recommended because it adds a lot of complexity and it creates a lot of potential for things to go wrong if you did like ported and sealed subs. But you're right. All of my speakers are ported and all of the subs are sealed. And I do not have an issue. The other reason it's not really an issue in the speakers is because they're all playing different things. They're not playing the same thing. So the speakers are playing different things than the subs, and all of the speakers, for the most part, are playing their own channels. They're not fighting and doing the same thing other speakers are doing most of the time, though you do have sometimes sound going to multiple speakers, but it's not really an issue like it is with subs. So no, you're right. They're all ported, but no, I don't have any problems. They integrate just fine. Good question, though. Anybody else? Should we just end the stream here? Jack of Diamonds, hello. How are you? I'm going to fly through a lot of these questions because it's just me. So if anybody has anything that they want answered, or even if they feel like it's mundane, tonight is the night to get them answered because it's just me flying solo. We'll probably do this for about an hour. It's 7:00 right now. We'll probably sign off around 8, and it's 7 Central, 8 Central. I feel like I watched a movie, and I can't remember what it was. I don't remember, and I'm never going to remember. I'm going to keep trying, and I'm not going to remember. Oh, well. We're going to start my daughter on her first voyage of Star Wars tonight. We're going to start at episode 1. We talked about last episode here on the AV Experience about how I don't like episode 4, 5, and 6, and you guys all hated me because of it, or at least some of you did. I just don't like them. I like episode 1, 2, and 3. Episode 7, 8, 9 might as well not exist. My favorite's Rogue One. Solo's pretty good, but so sue me. I like 1, 2, and 3 over 4, 5, and 6. Van Williams, is there any Chinese knockoff of Kaleidescape worth looking at? No. You would have to have licenses from all of the movie publishers, and they're not going to get that. You have Zidu, you have Zapedi, Zapedi isn't Chinese, it's French. You have Dune, you have NVIDIA Shield, you have all of these devices that can play back ripped content, but there is nothing, as far as I'm aware, like Kaleidescape that exists, especially legally. There may be something that's illegal, but there's not anything that is legal like Kaleidescape is that exists anywhere else in the market. They have a monopoly. Absolutely. For sure. Ben Williams, do you say that because you know something that we don't? I have a 2.5 hour drive. You need to go for that long. That's not going to happen. I'm not going for 2.5 hours tonight. Nope. Unless you guys just hammer away on the questions. If we get a bunch of questions, there's potential, but it better keep going, and it better be just one after the other with me not having to provide filler. Ernie Bless says, when Officina Acustica did the acoustics design for the MadVR Experience Center, what deliverables did they give? Drawings, spec sheets, renderings. So there were drawings, there were spec sheets, and there were renderings. And it was a very hand-holding process. So we gave them the dimensions for the room. We worked on what I wanted out of the room. And then the first thing we did is they provided a rendering so we could figure out, like, is this the direction that you want to go? And then we finalized and made changes and did all of that through the rendering process, got it down to where I said, that's what we're doing. And they delivered what they showed me. So the cool thing about these rooms is since they're on extruded aluminum and since the panels sit off of the main walls, you have a little bit of wiggle room. So you've got like an inch or two of wiggle room to manipulate and move things around because you have that amount of wiggle room in the extruded aluminum attachments for all of the walls. So it doesn't mean that they're not going to try and be perfect. It just means that you don't have to account for every variable, every bend, everything that's in the room, because we all know rooms aren't perfectly square. It's just not going to happen. Wood's not perfectly square. So I mean, some is, but you get the point. So they got all of that, and then they manufactured it all and then shipped it over, and we just installed it. We didn't have to manufacture anything ourselves. It included the door. It included, well, for the inner part of the room and the ceiling. We manufactured everything for the acoustic treatments for the base behind and the front and the baffle wall and all that stuff. So there was plenty of manufacturing on our end, but Officina did their stuff on the internal visual aesthetic part of the room. They did a really good job. Good question. Would be interesting to see anything you could share. A lot of that, the rendering and stuff is in the build thread on the Mad VR Experience Center. So if you go to AVS and search for Mad VR Experience Center, you will choose it, or you will see it. Pakamu, Ryan, your choice between the Ascendo 16 and sealed sub versus the SVS SB17, looking at more mid-bass punch. I really like what Ascendo does, mainly because Jeffrey, however he designs a speaker, he doesn't try and take it out of what the speaker natively wants to do. So none of his subs, none of the measurements that you see in Clipple data, he's not reinforcing the low end with any type of shelf. He's just passing it more voltage. And that's why you see him all the time just really fast. And you don't see a straight line down to whatever. He's just reinforcing with voltage, not applying a shelf, not implying any type of DSPs, just letting it go, whatever the driver really natively wants to do. And he does that on the 16 as well. And to me, I like that it's not creating any level of distortion. So I'm going to choose the Ascendo. I may be biased, right? Because I am an Ascendo dealer. I'm not an SVS dealer. So take that for a grain of salt. Like, I'm throwing that out there, that I just like his mindset and I want to support him and his company because of it. So I will choose the Ascendo every day of the week. And it's smaller than the SB17, if I remember correctly. I mean, it is a smaller driver, but yeah, I'll choose the Ascendo for sure. Not that the SVS is bad, just I'm biased. Jeremy, man, you guys are all about the theater today. Your Black Swans, what is their port tune naturally? 2-channel tune, movie tune? I actually don't know what their port tune is. I don't know even that we're getting low enough for that to be a worry. They're crossed over quite high. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think they're crossed over at 80. So I don't even think their port's active. And that doesn't change for 2-channel movies or anything. My frequency response does not change between movies and music. It is exactly the same. I'm not artificially enhancing anything, pumping anything. It's exactly the same. No change. So I can go from watching a movie to 2-channel, not changing anything, and I'm happy as a clam in both ways. I understand why you may want to do that because people have different wants and desires. Some people want to artificially boost mid bass, and I'm not saying that's wrong. It's different strokes for different folks, but I don't do that, and I enjoy it. Who did the HVAC? I did the HVAC. Insulated, flexible ducting, baby, and it doesn't make any noise. Can't hear the HVAC. No problem. No problem at all. Room stays nice and cool, gets all the air out when we need it, and does great. I don't know enough about HVAC to make this an official statement, but subjective statement. I think people worry about it too much, and I think flexible insulated ducting is OP. Like, it does everything you need it to do. There's nothing to rattle because it's just flexible ducting wrapped in insulation, and it does an awesome job. Put some S turns in it to slow down airflow. Money. And it does a great job in the room. No, my noise floor is super low in that room. Granted, it's all of the flexible ductings behind double stacked OSB, green glue, R38, and a bunch of other stuff, but it does great. Your follow-up question, how did you manage the air pressure in the room versus HVAC? There is a AC Infinity that pulls air out, and it's in a basement, so it's natively cool, and I don't really have an issue at all. I didn't really think about it. Maybe I just got super lucky. Maybe I was an idiot and just coasted by the seat of my pants and didn't realize it, but it ended up working out really well. Who doesn't have flexible ducting for their AC? I don't know. Most of my house isn't flexible ducting. It's all the tin stuff that you cut and then slice a finger off because it's super sharp. Most of the house isn't flexible ducting. The reason that I really got into flexible ducting is because the ducting that was in there originally in the insulated ceiling in the previous theater, when the dishwasher would run, the hot water drain would run by the incoming air, and it would cause condensate, and it would do it enough that it would drip onto the ceiling and it caused wet spots. So then we're like, well, how do we solve this? And insulated ducting came into the fray, and it does a phenomenal job, and I have zero issues with any of it. It does a great job. Anthony, another question. Do any Chinese screen materials rival the US suppliers? Probably still Chinese. The major suppliers charge too much for bare materials. I'd like to get full screens of different types to tinker. XY is pretty cheap, and supposedly they're pretty good. Stewart is all made in the US. They make all of their material at their factory in LA. The entire product is made in the US. Seymour, I don't know, but I know Stewart's is. It's all US. But you could do XY. That's probably who I would do if you're going to do that. You could also look at Sievertson. I don't think they're not Chinese, but they're a Sievertson and Silver Ticket are very similar. I think Silver Ticket is a white label for Sievertson for some of their stuff. So you could just look at Silver Ticket if you wanted to off Amazon. Anthony, really? Must be a Texas thing. I've never seen anything else besides flexible ducting, including flexible insulated ducting. Yeah, they do the hard stuff here. I don't know why. I'm sure it's more expensive, and it rattles, and it carries noise a lot better. I don't know why. Anybody into HVAC that would know? Because I have no idea. Troy, sorry I missed this question. Troy asks, what's the better 4K player, the Sony or the Panasonic? I honestly don't think it matters. If it can read your disc and it has the settings that you want, they're both going to put up the same fidelity of image. People like the Panasonic because historically it's cheap and it brings options that you may want. It's got onboard tone mapping for projectors, especially before you got to the point of like what JVC's doing and kind of where Epson's going now. So for your 50-50, your 60-50, your older Epsons, it made a huge impact. Now it's not as necessary now with what it's bringing to the table for settings, but I think they're both fine. I don't think you would go wrong either with a Sony or a Panasonic. The image isn't somehow going to magically be better if we're not talking about that tone mapping. If you just put a disc in and don't do anything at their factory settings, I don't think you're going to notice. I mean, build quality, maybe. I can't say that I've had and really analyzed my UHD players. I don't use UHD players. It's all Kaleidescape streaming. So I don't really do any of that. So I can't say build quality wise, which is better. It just is what it is, I guess. So think about whatever specific settings you need, compatibility wise, maybe for IP control, Alexa, or what have you, because there will be differences there. Inputs and outputs on the back, there's going to be differences, especially on different models. Those are things that I would encourage you to focus on, and price point. Aside from, is one going to have a better image than the other? My answer to that is no. unless you're manipulating said image. MW, in your storm calibration, did you use Dirac or did Adam do it all manually? No, we used Dirac and we did. So Matt Trinkline helped mainly with the storm, though Adam and I did weigh in. And then we've got Trinnov with Optimizer. So we have calibrations for just Dirac. We have calibrations for Dirac with Expert Bass Control. We have calibrations with Dirac and Art. And then we have Optimizer with just Optimizer. And then with waveforming, with no waveforming. And then we have all of these with infrasonics and without infrasonics and just tons of different calibrations. Do I use them personally? No. Do people ever want to hear them? Sometimes. And it really just comes down to, and the major takeaway is, man, art and waveforming are just way better because they're bringing more to the table. They're dealing more with your room modes and different things that are happening in the room, and the other ones aren't. So that's the takeaway for a lot of this is people listen to them and like, man, that's really good. And then we turn on art and waveforming like, man, I thought that was really good. Now it sounds like crap because the art and the waveforming one is just that much better. Does Adam do any correction past 1K? I can't remember if we did. I think we did a little bit. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember. You might just send him a message on AVS and see what he says. I don't remember if we did or not. It's a good question. I guess I could go look at his filters. I think we did. But we played most in your male and female vocal ranges. That's where we in the bass. That's where we live most because that's what you're going to notice. It's what our ears pick up most effectively. Keep the questions coming, guys. We're at the end of the list for questions, so I'm flying. We're moving. Has anybody else seen anything new with anything in home theater? New projectors, new speakers, new AVRs? Is there anything on the horizon? Do you guys think we're going to see anything at CEDIA? I don't know of anything at CEDIA. Granted, I don't follow the new stuff or anything like I did before I built the MadVR Experience Center. So maybe I've just fallen off. But is there anything new coming? I don't know of anything new with projectors. Got the new Epsons, got the new Sonys, got the new JVCs. Don't know of anything new with speakers. There's a new Ascendo speaker coming. That'll be at CEDIA. Don't know of any new projector stuff aside from we need Vader to get here. Like, get here, please. So there's that. Anybody got anything new? Paul A says, Ryan, I have a Denim 4800 and 4-ohm LCRs. On bass heavy tracks, horn volume drops by 50%. Tried external amps, same thing. Volume doesn't matter. Crossover point doesn't matter. Tried other preamp. So you're saying that another preamp is fine. It's just the 4800 that's having issues? Horn volume. What speakers are you using? You say horn volume. Anthony, you are right. They did announce that there's a new projector coming. I have no comment on that, but there is a new projector coming, I think. Got it. Am I going to Audio Advice? Yes, I will be at Audio Advice. I arrived there Thursday morning. So anybody that's going to be at Audio Advice, happy to say hello. It's hard for me to get away from everybody because I do help run the MadVR booth, and my boss, I do love him, but he doesn't like me just talking about non-MadVR stuff all day. So I do have to respect his time. He is paying for me to be out there. But if you want to stop by and say hi, usually we're in for anybody that's been to this hotel, the Audio Advice show, usually we're up the ramp and outside where the main sound rooms are, like the more conference style rooms are. That's usually where I am, up in that area. MadVR announcements coming. Aside from hopefully a new firmware coming at some point, when I don't know. No, not that I'm aware of. Rick does a pretty good job of keeping me in the dark, though. Hoping it's a UB So Steven's going back to the projector question. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it'll have anything to do with the QLs. My bet, this is my bet. I think it's going to be a lower tier offering underneath the LS12000 because the projector below that, I think it was like the 4050 or something, that's been out forever. Forever. And honestly, if it's a good projector in that space, it's great for the industry. We get all hyped and jazzed up about the really expensive stuff. And it's exciting. It's like really expensive cars. But that price point, LS12000, a little bit lower, that's the meat of the market. So I would, if they give us something that's pretty good, I'd be excited about that. So I'm hoping. We'll see. We'll see. So back to Paul. He was saying that when, what was he saying? On bass heavy tracks, when the volume goes up, he loses volume. I have an older Class A preamp and it's fine with same external amps. I hooked up to the Denon. So you're saying that you have this issue regardless of if it's running on a pre-out or the onboard amplifiers, or is it fine on the pre-out and only happens on the onboard amps? $10 super chat if I show Adam's Black Swan filters? No. That's not my information to give away. That's Adam's. You got to go back and talk to him. Won't do that to him. Adam's too good of a guy. And he may give them to you, but it's not my information to give away. Herc Dryer, regarding distance of AT screen material from the speakers, I know there are recommendations, but it doesn't really matter. Woven versus microperf. So many screens seem hung right over in the walls. It does matter because the wave needs to properly form before it hits the material. Woven is better. You can put the speaker closer. Will you notice? I don't know. Does it impact the sound? Absolutely. But this goes back to Audio Science Review and doing the SYNAD ratings and stuff. When you get a SYNAD that's like 130 versus an amplifier that's 100 or 80, yes, it's better. Can you hear it? I have no idea. I've never done this test. So could you? Maybe. Could you not? Sure. I have no idea. Does it technically matter? Yes. So if you can do it, my advice is do what objectively is the correct way to go. And if you're stuck with getting things much closer together, go woven as opposed to microperf. But then you're compromising a hell of a lot on gain because woven just sucks the gain out. It sucks the light out in comparison. I mean, if you're comparing like a Harmony G2 or G3 against something like a Studio Tech 130, that is a 50-point difference. The Harmony G3 is in the ballpark of like 0.68 to 0.7 for gain. The Studio Tech 130, you're going to be in the neighborhood of like 1.2. So 120%. I mean, just potential for massive differences in brightness. But acoustically, woven all the way. It's just a trade-off for light. So you've got to determine, am I okay or am I in a good position that I can deal with giving up that light? Maybe if you're really into the audio, you just don't care. I mean, maybe the video is secondary and you don't care how dim it gets. It doesn't matter. So you're going to go woven every time. I don't know. I don't have the answer there, unfortunately. I know it objectively and technically matters. Will you hear it? No idea. Never done it. We should do that test. Next M-Wave, if I remember. So Paul keeps giving me information about this. With the Denon, it's on board and pre-out. Change Denon to 4-ohm setting from 8-ohm, and that doesn't do anything either. I don't understand. Oh, so it does it with both. But doesn't happen on another preamp. Try and factory reset the Denon if you haven't done that already. If it's still doing it, make sure you do it on a source that's like a UHD player and not some streaming app, because there are some really weird DRC and stuff with voicing and things like that that you can run into with streaming apps. So I'd encourage that as a test. If it's still happening, my guess is you've got something going on with voltage output, both from your internal bus to the internal amps and coming out of the preamp, where you're getting to these bass heavy tracks and it's dumping voltage to the subs, and then you're losing all of that on the mains. Does it happen if you lower the gain for the channels going to your subs? Like if you just tank that gain, does it still happen? Be curious about that one. How's the Christie ultra high contrast lens? I don't have it yet, so I don't know. Be nice to know, but I don't know. I actually forgot about that. Forgot that was out there. I don't know. I don't have it yet. I'm looking forward to it whenever it shows up, but don't have it yet. You'll know as soon as I know, though. Paul Travisano, what's your recommendation for a projector and screen under $5,000 total? 120, 16 by 9 AT screen, 9-foot viewing distance, light control, blacked out room. Not sure if I prefer black levels or brightness. Boom. $5,000 for the screen. Oh, man. That's a tough one. That is a hard one. I don't actually know where I would be, because Epson just went through a price increase. So the LS12000 is no longer $5,000. I think it's like, what is it? Hold on, I can tell you. What is the LS12000? Chat? I mean, I'm going to know here in just a second. It's $6,000. So my recommendation is for you to contact me, Paul, if you're in the market and you're in the US. Shoot me a message and we can talk about this, because my recommendation here, you can scan that QR code in the top right corner. My recommendation around this budget is LS12000 and Silver Ticket. I think that's going to be about the best bang for your buck that you're going to be able to get. I recognize that that's above your price point. I would just encourage you to reach out and contact me. Scan the code. So LS12000, I think. Outside of that, there's other projector options. Just, I don't know how happy I'd be with them. There's too much of a compromise on any of those. So reach out. Let's have a conversation about it. That's going to be my advice, because that's a tough price point. Before the price increase, it would have been the same. LS12000 with a Silver Ticket screen. No question. Scooby, it'll be okay. I am not a salesman. I am objective, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Paul A, would that have anything to do with the dynamic volume setting? Oh, okay. Finster's providing some more information about Paul A's issue with the things falling off. Mosin asks, I currently run dual PB3000s with a mini DSP and 2 Yamaha SW100s as nearfield subs. I'm considering upgrading the nearfield. Would it be better to replace them or add two more PB3000s? What do you feel like you're missing? What are the SW100s? What the heck are those? These going to be babies? He's like, specs. 10-inch 100 watts. Oh boy. Yeah, I would replace that. And it's ported. You need to replace that. I would get more PB3000s. More PBs. I think you're going to have a better overall experience. Or if you really want to go near field, get some of the JBLs and direct attach them to your couch. You could do that. But failing that, I would absolutely do more PB3000s. You're having some wonky phase stuff with those different ported subs in there. So, more PBs. No question. Well, no question, get rid of the Yamahas. I'll put it that way. Ernie Bless. Let me get rid of that QR code. Hold on. That doesn't need to be up there. We're not going to leave that up the whole time. Ernie Bless. Might be a question for the chat since Ryan used Kaleidescape. Is there any good way of pre-programming demo reels without editing video files manually or searching from scene to scene? Ooh. You can, I think Plex can do it. And I'm sure Cody can do it, but you'd have to have ripped content. Outside of that, like if you're doing physical media, no way. But if you have ripped content, I'm pretty sure Cody and Plex can do it. Because I mean, that's how Kaleidescape does it. It just takes timestamps and starts a specific scene and then kills it. So it's should be able to. I'm sure if they don't support it natively, I'm sure there's a plugin because you're not the only one that would want to do this. Absolutely not. Paul Travasino says, thanks. Hard to find a good projector under $5,000. Paul, I just encourage you to reach out to me. I promise it'll be worth it. MW, on the Black Swans, do you use an LR24 or LR48? I'm pretty sure it's an LR24. If you're talking about how they integrate it into subs. With how they're integrating from the horn into the 15, I'd have to go look. I'm going to be honest, guys. Once I calibrated that room, I only really went back and looked at the subs. I get so immersed in the content, I don't even question what it sounds like anymore. It's just, it's as good as it's going to get. I put enough time into it. I don't sit there and futz or fiddle or do anything. It is just, this is it. If it doesn't sound good, I blame it on the content. It's not, and I've yet to have content that doesn't sound good. I mean, virtually everything sounds good in that room. And sure, certain things can sound better, like Pacific Rim sounds. They released a new audio mix for that, and it is phenomenal. Just phenomenal. I don't know why they waited that long because it's pretty different from the previous one. Awesome. So I don't really sit here and think about that stuff, and therefore don't remember. I don't remember this stuff very well anyway. Like what I've done in that system, because I've done a lot. I've spent a lot of time in there. I would have to go look. Pretty sure it's an LR24. And I'm not even sure if it's consistent between Storm and Trinnov. It probably is. But I can't say that with 100% certainty. Ernie Bless, see, going back to his question about demo content, fully ripped content, no Plex, we'll have to dig deeper. It look at Cody. Or Jay River can probably do it. There's a lot of options. You're not the first one to want to do this. So somebody has to do this. Chat, do you know of any way to do that? Oh, Steven says Plex and Cody for sure if you digitize your discs. So most of them are going to do this. Mosin, this is back to his PB3000. Do you suggest the SB4000 is near field or better go ported? I would do sealed over ported for near field. But your issue there is you're going to be integrating sealed boxes with ported boxes with your PB3000s, the SB4000. So not 100% recommended. I think you could get away with it given a lot, especially with the mini DSP and given some time going through it and making sure that things calibrate correctly and putting in pass filters for the phase changes, all that stuff. Absolutely sealed is going to be better for near field than ported because as things get lower, you're going to move from the driver to the port, and you're going to notice that in a near field sub. So if you can do it, I would do sealed for near field. Ernie Bless, this is how you do it. He's absolutely right. Plex server extras pre-roll. MW, only reason I ask is move to the Storm from Trinnov. And I can't override Dirac or pick filter resolution. Have a simple correction curtain instead of excursion curve. Yeah. Dirac going to do what Dirac going to do. And then you could only just apply things on top of it. You can't change what it's doing. You can kind of manipulate in the Dirac software some things. But once it's implemented, you can't go back like you can in Optimizer. Optimizer is nice that you can make a change and then it goes and recalculates immediately. I love that about Optimizer. Storm and Dirac, a little more convoluted, and you don't have quite as much control. But it is quite a bit cheaper. So it's a compromise. You're compromising on money for Trinnov. And it is quite a bit more complicated than Storm. Not that Storm isn't complicated, but you have more granular ways to shoot yourself in the foot with Trinnov, in my opinion, than you do with Storm. We've reached the end again. Man, good questions, though, but keep them coming. Got 20 minutes unless we just start rolling on stuff. I usually listen to music while we're doing these, and right now, Tool with Schism is on. Somebody said, oh, my boss, Rick from MadVR, because I contract for MadVR doing all their technical support and training, as well as run Ascend. He had mentioned that he saw videos of a concert, and I don't remember who the concert was, but they said the video, and just watching the video, it had to be one of the most immersive concerts ever. And Jason Dustle, who I'm good friends with, said, and I totally agree with him, if Tool ever went to the Sphere, it's the Sphere, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that, in Vegas, I would 100% drop everything, go see the show in Vegas at the Sphere. If Tool went there, oh my gosh. I don't know how much I wouldn't pay to go. That would probably just be amazing. Amazing. Big Jack. Excluding art, how is Dirac on Storm different than that of Marantz of AV10 and other Marantz products? The big difference is the number of taps and filters that you can run and how far down you can implement said taps and filters. That's the big one, is granularity and how you can go. Storm allows you to go in a lot further than Marantz or Denon or any of those products. Now, will you hear it? I don't know. The main benefit for me is not Dirac in that granularity. The main benefit for me on Storm is all the other stuff, like going back in before and after Dirac and doing manual PEQ. That is huge. Huge. And the amount of filters that you can apply per channel and how far down you can go. I think now we're down to 6 hertz that we can apply filters in Storm. That is massive. And they're getting ready to implement, they've been talking about this for a while, but they're getting ready to implement FIR filters and all that. I mean, that stuff is important when you're talking about getting calibration spot on. You can do some of that in Marantz and Denon and stuff, but not to that level. So that's the stuff that sets it apart. I don't look at it as I'm buying different versions of Dirac for these different devices. Yes, it is a little bit different, but that's not my main reason to do it. It's big time in Storm. Big time. You can't do manual PEQ after Dirac. Yes, you can in Storm, but maybe you're talking about Marantz and Denon. You can absolutely do that. Oh, I know why you think you can't. So, MW, in order to get around that restriction, duplicate that Dirac preset when you're looking at it in the tab up to the right, do duplicate, and then you can apply, you'll get the Dirac, it'll do it all, and then you can apply manual PEQ. That's a little workaround. Paul Travasino. What's your home automation system again? How do you do distributed audio that's simple for your family to use? Currently have multiple Alexas as sources for 2-channel speaker setups. So we use Siri. Why we chose Siri, I think just because Apple historically, I felt like is more secure with what they do with data. I know they do that, but I felt like it wasn't listening maybe as much as what Alexa's doing. So the house is controlled by Siri. So she does everything. She does the automation. She does the doors. She does the Apple probably owns my house. Does the doors, does the blinds, does the HVAC, does the theater, frankly, because it's integrated in with the remote. And then for the theater, it's all done on HT Web Remote by Nick Olderud. And it's a free application. You just need to know how and understand how APIs work so that you can build out the communication. And I run the theater through an iPad and through Siri shortcuts. So don't pay anything for my home automation. For distributed audio, I use Blue Sound. So every room would be its own Blue Sound amp, every zone effectively. And then you just control, and you can do this with Sonos too. You control all of the distributed audio through the Blue Sound or Sonos app. And it's super easy to understand. Your significant other, your kids will immediately understand how to work it. It's not convoluted. You don't have to use it on a remote. It makes sense. All of these IP control systems and stuff, it just feels like you're smashing a square peg into a round hole, but you're eventually hitting it hard enough that the square peg is going through. It's not stuck. It's actually going through. And it just doesn't feel good. It's ethically, I think, wrong how they're doing it because you're keeping as a dealer, if I do that, I keep my customer captive because they have to come back to me for any changes, which feels totally wrong. So I don't like that. And it feels really restricted. Like I don't want to have to go buy $50, $100, and $150 drivers to get some of this stuff to work. And then these drivers, who knows who wrote these drivers? And then a lot of the IP control platforms are ancient. They're based on technology that is forever ago. They crash all the time. It's just, you see it from a dealer's side and you're like, why is anybody buying this? But it's a multi-million dollar endeavor from these companies. Doesn't make sense to me. I get that Siri and Alexa and stuff, they have their own shortcomings and pitfalls, but they do well enough. And if I can talk to my phone to do what I want, if it's properly implemented, sure, you may need to talk to somebody to get it properly implemented if you wanted to go down that pathway or to consult at least for what you want to do, because it is a big rabbit hole. But once it's implemented, oh man, like my wife fought me on this. Why do we need to do this? Why do we need to implement a smart home? Now she's laying in bed, just hits good night. Siri locks the door. Siri makes sure the garages are shut. Siri shuts all the shades. Siri turns on all of the fans, sets the HVAC a certain way, checks all the cameras, does all of this. There's no worrying. Oh, she heard me. Siri, never mind. She does all of this, takes away the anxiety, takes away all of that. And when I wake up in the morning, I just say, good morning. And she opens the shades. She turns off the fans, shuts the HVAC a certain way. And she does that part of this automatically, does all of this stuff. And you don't realize what you don't know until you know what you don't know, if that makes sense. Yeah. But my advice is talk to somebody about it and see what you need. It can be expensive getting all the light switches, doing all of that, but it is what it is. And I wouldn't go back. It's great. It is great. Derek Harrell, does Dirac have a way to define the different levels of taps, etc. each processor can do? That's a good question. I actually don't know. Is that listed anywhere? Chat probably knows more than I do. I don't know. I think Storm is in like the 3 or 4,000s for the number of taps. I think. Don't quote me on that. Matt Trinkland would know. I should ask him. That's a good question. I don't know that anything like that exists. Kyle S. had a cheap Klipsch 10-inch sub laying around, so added it in with two HSU 15s on a mid ASP to help with the dip around 80 to 90, but high pass to not muddy up the low end. Seems okay now. What issues to watch for? The low end around port tune for either of those subs. See if that gets bad. That may get bad. You're probably fine at what you were trying to fix, right? But when you get lower and things start passing off to the port tune, things may go and go right in the toilet. So check your lower frequencies around where those things are port tuned. That's where your issue is going to be. Check that out. See what happens. Ben Fitz, I've got 6 Kraken ported subs tuned to 22 hertz. I also have 6 18-inch subs sealed. I want to add the sealed 18 for infrasonics. Good idea? Or should I make sealed boxes for the Krakens? No, you could do that. You could do that because they're not trying to do the same thing. You may have to fight it a little bit. Like it may not be as easy as implementing like sealed with sealed, but you could do that. You would just do apply your filters to create a crossover and cross them into each other. And you're just going to have to play with timings and delays and phase and see what ends up happening there. Because really what you're doing is one's coming off like your port, or maybe you can push the Krakens above their port tunes. The port doesn't engage, and then you don't even have to worry about it. I don't know where that is on the Krakens. Depends on the box and the design and everything. But push them up so that you don't have to worry about that, and then they'll cross into each other. So you could absolutely do that for sure. I would, if I were you, if possible, I would just eliminate the port on the Krakens and let the sealeds do it. Try that first. And it's going to come down to timing and phase implementation and stuff like that. But yeah, for sure. Do it. Report back. I want to know. Bruce Barnes, why is your wife's voice deeper than yours? She wears the pants and takes a testosterone supplement. No, she doesn't. Her voice is quite a bit. My voice is quite a bit deeper than hers, I think. Maybe everybody around me actually questions the relationship because maybe it is deeper. Hers is. I don't know. Now you've got me questioning myself for some reason. I don't even know why I'm questioning myself. Her voice isn't deeper than mine. Why did you even ask that question? MW, yeah, you will. But if he eliminates the port, he shouldn't. Like if he just crosses over above that, you just got to play with it and see what happens. Could be great, could suck. Who knows? How much for this 100-inch sub that just announced? So here's the deal with the 100-inch sub. The 100-inch sub, I talked to Jeffrey today, and it's still the 80, as I understand it. And the 64 is still the 50. The difference is they weren't measuring how everybody else was measuring. So the driver was artificially small. And Jeffrey's going to correct me at Audio Advice next week, but I'm pretty sure this is what he meant. So just how they were measuring, the 50 was actually bigger if you use the same measurement philosophy as everybody else than what they were saying it was. Same with the 80. So because of that, they're the same driver, the same sub, though things have been changed on them. They reworked a bunch of stuff. We found some things out with the 64 that's implemented in my room. We learned a bunch of stuff with it, and it's being upgraded. So they did change stuff. So it's not the same sub as existed previously, but the size factor, the looks and stuff, they are very similar, if not identical. They just changed the measuring philosophy and thereby the how they identify those subs is different, 64 and 100, as I understand it. Jeffrey's probably going to slap me when I get to audio video. So like, no, you were wrong. These are totally new. But that's how I understand it. Now Matt texted me yesterday. He was like, you got a free 14 inches. And I tell him, Matt, it's not always the size. It's how you use it. But in this case, I will take a free 14 inches. So MW actually brings up a good point here. And we're going back to Dirac. And the point that he's making is that Dirac doesn't implement this for you. Meaning the companies like Marantz and Denon and Onkyo and all of these companies that are using Dirac. They don't do it for you. They give you, here's the toolkit, go implement it. And because of that approach, implementations can be different, and they are different. Storm works hand in hand with Dirac. And because of that, their implementation theoretically is much closer to the objective perfect. I'm not saying it is perfect, but to the objective perfect that Dirac would want as opposed to other manufacturers. From my understanding, because of how they've developed it, they help develop things. Storm does with Dirac. They do a lot. So MW has an absolute point in that comment, for sure. Yeah, Derek, it reflects the pro industry. But as I understand it, this is how, like, if you look at a driver website, like BNC, 18 Sound, any of the big driver manufacturers, that's how they're going to measure it. So they're just following suit, supposedly, with the industry. I don't know. Would you say home theaters are demanding as flight simmers? No. Flight sim guys are... You know how there's that stereotype that pilots, like fighter pilots, are divas? Now imagine somebody that wasn't a fighter pilot, but imagines they are, and that's the kind of person you're dealing with. Sometimes. Some guys are great, but some guys, not so great. It's an interesting question. I haven't thought about I need to get back into that. I need to jump back into my flight sim pit. JSO36, what do you think about the Lingdorf MP60 2.1 Ultimate Performance, aka HDMI 2.1 surround sound processor? Oh, I have no idea. They have HDMI 2.1. So Bob, who used to stream with us, has, I think, an MP40. And he likes it. The problem that I have with it, if it is a problem, is that when you calibrate, it's kind of a black hole. You have no way to know or change what it did. It did what it did, and you're going to get what it did. No changing. But it's not a bad product. I think it does quite well. I don't like that you don't have granular control. That is my issue with it. I want to know what's going on, and I want to be able to change it, because Auto EQ gets it wrong more often than people think. And you got to go back and look at things. You got to go back and be able to change things. Be able, especially, or not especially, but even when things are nice and flat, sometimes you're going to take some away and add some just to make it sound more subjectively pleasant. So I wouldn't say they're bad. I just don't like that you don't have control. Derek, that's the quote. And that is, yes, that is what Jeffrey told me today. What's the update on Bob's DIY speakers? Bob bought a CNC machine. Bob bought a vacuum, and Bob sent me a picture of the vacuum. Instead of them shipping said vacuum by freight, it came in like 80 boxes, and they shipped every one via parcel service. Why? I don't know. You could have just put them on one pallet, but instead it was label, just on and on and on and on. And his garage was full of boxes for this vacuum. It was quite a funny picture. And he said, I don't know why they didn't use a pallet, but he got the stuff. So it got there, just maybe not the most efficiently. MW says the Lingdorf is excellent. I'm not saying it's not excellent. I'm just saying I don't like not having granular control over what it's doing. I mean, as a pro in the industry, I want to know what it's doing. I don't like not knowing. It's like I got a car, right? And the factory tuned the car, but we have no idea what that factory tune is. They're like, trust me. Now, we want to know what's going on. You want to tune it. If you're a pro in the industry, you work on cars, you're doing stuff, you want to know. You want to be able to change it. You want to do that stuff. You don't like being told no. So that's my only issue with it. It's not that doesn't create good sound. I've been in plenty of Lingdorf rooms. They do great. I just don't like not being in control. Anybody else? We're coming up on the end. It's been an hour. Any other questions? If not, we're calling it a day. And we'll see Jonathan when he comes back. Bob's decided to build a factory? Yes. In his garage. I think he's excited. I'm excited for him. I think it's great. Whatever he makes, whether it be DIY speakers, subs, or stuff for himself, whatever. I'm excited that he's excited. Kind of like the Epstein. We just want to know. Yeah, that's a really interesting analogy, but sure. All right, so this is where we're going to end it. I'm going to go watch a movie. I'm going to watch Edge of Tomorrow, and I'm going to watch Iron Giant, probably this weekend, if not next week. So we'll be able to talk about those. So if you haven't watched them, go watch them. And I'm probably going to watch the new Final Destination, and I'm probably going to watch How to Train Your Dragon, because that just came out. And I'm probably going to watch Lilo and Stitch. And there's a lot of stuff that I need to watch that my daughter's going to want to watch. So excited about that. Have you ever listened to Vandersteen audio speakers? Yes. One of the guys that was here yesterday, Todd, actually has Vandersteens, and they can be great speakers. Not my cup of tea, subjectively, because speaker sound can be highly subjective, but that doesn't mean that they're not great for somebody. He loves them. What about Happy Gilmore 2? Happy Gilmore 2 is not out on Kaleidescape yet. Ryan, can you try according to LNR and Trinnov and tell us what you think next week? I have no idea what you just meant. Can you try according to LNR on Trinnov and tell us what you think? MW, text me. Let me know what you mean. And we'll go from there. But I'm going to wrap it up here. So thanks, guys, for joining us. We will have Jonathan back next week. No, I won't be here next week. I'll be at Audio Advice. So we'll probably do that Monday. So there will be a next week, but it'll be probably Monday because I'll have Audio Advice. Maybe we'll see some cool stuff at Audio Advice. I don't know. But enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend because we finally got in on a Friday. I got basketball tournament this weekend. Friend's birthday tomorrow. That's about it. I'm going to go watch Star Wars. Stay safe. Enjoy the home theater journey because that's what this is all about. That's the fun part. So don't miss the journey. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one and see you guys later.